I'll agree to this. The dating world has certainly changed over the last year because of the pandemic. Some people found love in the fast lane. Others decided, let me go back to that old flame. And some people tried the online scene. Here with me now to break it all down, Dr. Jamie Zuckerman, a licensed clinical psychologist. Okay, Dr. Z, here's the deal. I had a lot of situations I've witnessed and heard about, so I wanted to ask you about all of them. So let's start with love in the fast lane. Had a girlfriend, met a guy online at the beginning of the pandemic. She's engaged to be married. Hadn't even been a year. Tell me the pros and cons with that one.
So we'll start with the pros.
Okay.
The pros are that everybody, and I know I've said this before to you, everybody's starting in the same place. We're all kind of coming from this collective trauma that we're experiencing.
Yes.
So we're meeting really kind of in the same spot. Whereas before this, we may have been at different levels. So there's that aspect of it. And, you know, sometimes people need to have that social space in the beginning. When they start dating, it makes them feel more comfortable. It makes the real them come out. Their guard is down a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's also a pro.
Okay.
The cons, I think, may outweigh the pros in this situation. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't really know somebody in the beginning. And in the beginning of a relationship, everyone's on their best behavior.
Yep.
You know, the beginning of a relationship is like social media. It's everybody puts their best face forward, best foot forward. So you really may not know somebody fully until you have an argument. And if you're not with them all the time, you may not have that opportunity to see how you'll resolve an argument.
Yeah, I think it can be tricky, but listen, my fingers are crossed and I'm praying for anybody who's found love in this pandemic. What about those who've become frustrated? The dating world is hard, haven't found anyone, so they say, maybe I should go back to the ex.
So this actually was something that came about when the pandemic started. There was a flood of people going back to their exes. And there was a couple reasons for this. One, people were lonely. They lost contact from the outside world. So when we're lonely, we return to what's familiar. Our exes, even if they're unhealthy, are familiar. People also kind of faced their own mortality a little bit. They didn't want to be alone. There was that aspect. And you know, people just wanted connections, and however they got that, they got that.
Have to be careful with that one, though, because there's some things you have to remind yourself why they were an ex in the first place.
Exactly.
I think, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And I've heard that a lot of people that are online, one of the things that's in the profile that's pretty high up is how people feel about vaccinations. Is that like the new pickup line?
You know, I think it is. I've been hearing a lot about that, especially with my patients who are on dating websites. You know, and I think it's actually really smart because, you know, it doesn't really matter what's going to motivate you to get vaccinated. But if it's a dating app and it means you're going to get fewer dates if you're not vaccinated, if that's what motivates you, great. So be it. You know, I think that it's a really valid question. And I think when people are dating now, unfortunately, in the beginning, the relationship itself necessarily and the connection itself isn't necessarily the primary thing. The primary thing right now is the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then it's the couple. So I think that that's a very valid question to ask right now because we need to be safe.
I stalk you on social media, as you know, and I know that you're doing a lot of good stuff on there. So I always send people to your page. It keeps me very zen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right.